Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to week 3 in CE 165, Food and Beverage Cost Control. Chef Gregory and I welcome you to another fine live session. Right off the bat, Chef Gregory and I want to mention this class rocks. This class, once again, for the second week in a row, had the highest OTS, which is on-time submissions. Which tells us that all of you are learning and taking advantage of the opportunity here at Escoffier. So excellent job, everybody. Chef Gregory and I could not be happier with all of you so far. The work that you have done so far, we're awfully proud of it. We appreciate all the hard effort going into this class, and you guys are certainly proving yourself to be future culinarians, and we're very excited to be a part of this. So excellent job so far. Week 2, how did it go for everybody?
Good.
Good? Is that a good or a good?
Good.
Depends on what you mean by good.
Yeah.
What part of the spectrum?
What's that?
Which end of the spectrum do you mean good?
How did you guys, excellent. How did you guys do with your portions and pricing? How did you guys do with that little exercise? Samantha? Yeah, you like that one?
Well, I was using the wrong formula when I went through my exam or my quiz. And I got like 3 right, and I was like, what the heck? And so I went back and saw where I had missed a step and went back and did a 100 second time around. So
okay. You know what? That's probably a good thing that happened because it's going to alert you in the future pretty soon. And like Chef Gregory will say as well, when you're doing these numbers, if there's any type of discrepancy, if you're just doing them in your head, you'll notice it right off the bat. As you continue to practice and work with these numbers, they come along quite well. Are there any other comments regarding week 2?
Yeah, I think you just have to read and understand what you're really looking for.
Yeah, great point, Timothy. Yeah, it takes, and this week especially, that's going to happen once again with this week's exercise. Reading it, paying attention to detail, and extracting exactly what the question is extremely important. So good job, everybody. Anybody else have any more comments regarding week 2? Chef Gregory, what's your take on week 2?
Just following Chef's lead, just thank you, everybody. Having the on-time submissions, it just really, really helps because then you have time to do it again, to reread it, to relook at the helpful hint sheets. So just everybody, thank you. That's honestly all I can say. Everybody's doing a great job.
Yeah. In other words, keep doing what you're doing, and it's been an excellent performance so far. So thank you, everyone, very, very much. We appreciate all the hard work and effort. This week, you'll notice at the top of our class page, which we're going to take a look at here in a second, is the mid-course survey because we are in week 3 out of 6. As with all of your courses, we appreciate all the honest feedback that we can get from you. We take it very, very seriously, and we utilize it to help improve the program. This is kind of a real learning experience for all of you. Because when you get into industry, and I remember when I first got into industry and somebody would say something about my food, I would become very offended. But as I grew within the industry, I started to take a look at what they were honestly saying. And, and I took what they were saying as a tool of improvement, and it really paid off in the long run. And that's what Escoffier does with your information. So they do take a look at it very, very seriously. So make sure that you do take that mid-course survey this week. It's very, very important, and we appreciate all the feedback. Let's take a look at the week 3 class page. And hopefully everyone gets a chance to see this lovely video up here at the top, which is our weekly intro video and shows a little bit of the tips and tricks to help get you through the week. Mid-course surveys right up here, like I just mentioned. Make sure you take it. And then the restaurant math in action. This is where it's all at this week. If you can go through these not once, not twice, not 3 times, but maybe 4 times, you will do very, very well on your on your cost and margins test this week. So all the information is right up here, and we're going to get into that here later on this evening. And then if you're not here, make sure you watch the live session archive. Bonus session. Are you having a bonus session next Tuesday, Chef Gregory?
I believe so. So far, yes.
How's the attendance been?
For all 3 classes, it's been between 30 and 40.
Oh, good.
That is a total of about 550 people for everybody.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, those of you that are taking advantage of the opportunity to learn a little bit extra, especially with Chef Jonathan and Chef Gregory at your beck and call, it's going to pay dividends once you do get into the industry. As a pleasant reminder, this is your number one responsibility once you assume the head role in the kitchen. Every month you're going to be looking at these numbers, and you need to have a clear understanding of exactly what they mean and what they do for you. So focus on profit. All right, ladies and gents, let's talk about this week. We're getting into certain restaurant cost and certain restaurant margins and some different terminology. Chef Gregory and I want to make sure that you understand what some of these things go to be used for. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is tonight we deal with contributions to margin. And what does that mean? Because everybody says, well, what's the margin left over? And for example, if you sell a hamburger for $10 and the plate costs you $3, the difference between the $3 and the $10 would be the contribution to the margin. And that $7 goes to offset a lot of expenses within the restaurant industry or within your particular restaurant. And we have 2 primary categories of expenses in the restaurant industry, and one would be fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are things that they're basically reoccurring monthly expenses, things that pretty much remain the same month in and month out. Some of those expenses would be, some equipment, some utility, lease expenditures, salaries, insurances, leases on your building, things of that nature. Those are considered fixed expenses. They remain the same each month. And then as we progress in this course, we're going to get into some variable cost. That would be the second category that we're talking about. And variable cost is things such as labor, food, any expense that basically fluctuates on a monthly basis. Some people consider utilities to be a variable expense because, the busier it is, the more gas you're going to use, the more electric you're going to use. However, there are expenses such as telephone and internet, which are utilities, which remain the same every month, and those would be considered a fixed expense. So you need to break those out into those 2 different categories on your restaurant P&L, and that is extremely important to understand the difference between those 2. That's what those the contributions to your margin, that's what it's going to pay for. It's going to pay for your fixed expense and your variable expenses other than food. So when we're talking about that tonight, that's what we're referring to. So if we sell a hamburger for $10, it costs $3 to make. The difference between the 3 and the 10, the $7, goes to pay for those fixed expenses and the variable expenses other than food. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay. So it's very, very important. There's two big numbers that we like to work with in the restaurant industry when we're talking about profit. And you hear this a lot in the restaurant industry. We'll talk about gross profit, and then we'll also talk about net profit. And gross profit is what's left over after your direct cost of the goods are left over. So for example, if you sell the hamburger at 10 and the food cost you $3, your gross profit would be $7, right? But the $7 goes to offset the fixed expenses and some of the variable expenses. And once that is paid out, that's what we refer to as being net profit. Net profit is everything deducted from the revenues in the restaurant industry. So net profit would be the genuine number that we're really focused on in the restaurant industry. So you will see some P&Ls that work with gross profits and net profits. Don't get too excited when you see the gross profit, because there's more coming out of it that you haven't talked about. It's kind of interesting when it comes to net profit averages in the restaurant industry. There's a lot of factors that go into play. Volume is one of the biggest ones, because volume not only creates higher traffic, higher sales, but it also creates higher purchasing opportunities for you, which drive your costs down. For example, McDonald's has a national average of about 20% per unit on their net profit, which is pretty extreme when it comes to food service. So what drives that down? Why is their profit? Why is their net profit so high? It's because they have extreme volume and they purchase in mass quantities, which drives the price of their food way down. And they also have the volume of customers, which drives their revenues up, hence the 20%. Once you get into other, like a freestanding cafe, you're probably getting into the 10% net profit range. They say the average net profit in the United States for a full service restaurant is right around 6.1%. And that can greatly vary from unit to unit. So those are some numbers to keep in the back of your mind. Let's take a look at how we derive some food cost numbers here real quick before we move on to some more contribution margins here real quick. Are we there? Can everyone see that? Okay, this is really critical. We want everyone to understand how we come up with this cost, right? I was just giving the hamburger, for example, sell it for $10, it costs $3. Well, what goes into that cost, and how do you arrive at that $3 figure? Well, that's where a lot of places make it or break it in the restaurant industry, and this is where you need to have extreme attention to detail. We've talked a lot about yields in other classes, and everything else. This is where all this begins to come into play. So you've already done step one. If you've taken the CE 155, you've determined where you want to open up your business. You've researched the other area, the other businesses in the area. You know how much you want to charge for your food, which can help you determine what your food cost percentage should be. And then from there, this example utilizes a cheeseburger, which is one of the most simplistic dishes to work with, because there's not a lot of pre-prepped items. Pre-prepped items would be sauces, garnishes, and other ingredients into a dish that you have to prepare in another recipe and cost out completely differently. So this is real simple up front. So first thing we do is we list out all the ingredients that go onto the plate. That would include seasonings, salt, pepper, garnishes, everything that you can consume that goes onto the plate needs to be listed out in that information. So we know for the cheeseburger, we need a bun, we need ground beef, we need fries, cheese, and then a sauce. So those are the basic ingredients. And then step two, where do you get the pricing for all these products? Generally, you'll be working with a food purveyor, such as US Foods, Sysco, Shamrock. There's a lot of different companies out there to work with, but that's where most of your food pricing will come from. You have to remember that last week we worked on portions and pricing, correct? Now it's going to start coming into play as things go along, because you don't buy one each hamburger bun. You buy a dozen hamburger buns for X amount of dollars, etc. We've been working on conversions throughout the entire program. I know in 101 and 102, that's pretty heavy work. So that's where this is going to start coming into play. And then now you're going to list out the specific quantities for your plate. So you have your bun, you need 1 ground beef, you need 6 ounces. Fries, you'll have 5 ounces. Cheese, you'll have 2 ounces. And then your secret sauce, you'll have ½ an ounce. Now, in order to accumulate your cost of each item, so your bun, we just mentioned that you buy hamburger buns by the dozen, right? So if a dozen hamburger buns is $4.80, we'll divide by the amount that you buy for $4.80, which is 12, and that equals 40 cents, right? So you take the case price divided by the quantity, and that will give you your each. But this is where you might have to start working with conversions, right? So if you buy 4 1-gallon containers, you're going to have to convert it into ounces, etc. Burger patties, $5 a pound. We know that there's 16 ounces in a pound. So we're going to divide 16 ounces, and that'll give us an ounce price of 31 cents. But we need a 6-ounce patty, so we're going to multiply 31 cents times 6, and that'll give us the cost of the patty. And then same thing with cheese. We know it's 20 cents an ounce, so we need 2 ounces, and so that'll put 40 cents on the plate. Hamburger or French fries, the same thing right here with $2 a pound for 16 ounces. That comes up to 13 cents an ounce times 5 ounces, gives you the price of 65 cents. So now that you've accumulated what each item cost on that plate, you're going to go ahead, you're going to total it all together. That comes to $3.06. And you're going to divide by your food cost goal of 30% to get your menu price. $3.06 divided by 0.30 equals $10.20. Pretty simple in the long run. We mentioned the number 30%. You also hear 32%. Hotels will generally shoot for 28%. A lot of that depends on what your fixed expenses are above. If you're selling hamburgers and you're paying a lot of rent, and your product is Wagyu beef and it's very, very expensive, you're going to have to work with those numbers. So 30% might be the magic number for most people, but it might not be for you. So don't get stuck. Also on menus as well, we have sinkers and sailors on menus, right? So if I know that I sell the majority of my menu items are hamburgers at 30%, then I might want to go ahead and put a chicken breast on there at 32% or 34% to bring the price down just a little bit. That'll balance out as an average with the sale of the hamburgers. Does that make sense? Right? Or oftentimes in the restaurant industry, if we want to sell a lot of appetizers, we'll run a higher food cost on the appetizers to make them a little bit more appealing to the customers, and then the same thing with desserts as well. So don't get stuck on the exact 30% for each item. It's going to greatly vary depending on your location, your style of service, etc., etc.
Chef Gabrielle has a question.
Gabrielle, what's up?
Hey, I was wondering about with the the beef. So you buy the ground beef at such and such a pound, and then when you actually cook it, what it yields. How do you take that perspective?
Okay, if I was doing that's a great question, by the way. So thank you for asking that. If I was using ground beef as an ingredient into a product such as bolognese sauce, such as meatloaf, such as something I was selling by the pound or creating by the pound or a volume measurement of a gallon, then I would be working with the yield, right? If you want to take it just from a basic standpoint, most ground beef that we buy in the restaurant industry is an 80-20 grind, meaning that it's 80% solid, 20% fat. So I know that I need to mark my product up 20% to make up for that fat that I'm discarding. However, if I'm working with hamburgers and I'm selling 1 6-ounce patty, then I'm buying the 6-ounce patty and selling that 6-ounce patty. If it shrinks a little bit, it shrinks. And you'll notice on a lot of menus that says pre-cooked weight, and that is kind of a disclaimer right there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I guess, I guess what we would be aiming for, unless the situation's right, we'd be using fresh ground beef anyway. So
yeah.
My 6 ounces is 6 ounces.
And just so everybody knows, week 4, next week when we do the live session, we do really get into that about having a raw product what the actual cost of that is, then having the end weight product after cooking and how much that yield percentage is and how much that cost is. So that is what week 4 is. So everybody knows. Don, you have a question, sir?
Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome.
Hello, Don.
Sorry, I got muted there. When you put that, well, not you personally, when that disclaimer is there, I mean, that's technically kind of misleading. It's saying, I'm giving you this, but it's really this size, but I'm going to charge you the price that it should be. That's kind of like very misleading.
It can be. It can be. See, I just get, there are certain circumstances when it can be very misleading. I've seen restaurants that serve 70-30 grind on their hamburgers, meaning 70% solid muscle. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
70% solid muscle, 30% fat. That burger shrinks tremendously. And so you get a little puck on your plate. And,
Right.
you know, but wait, I bought a half-pound burger.
I ate and I don't even feel like I did.
Yeah. So that's
Is that also kind of like using like one on menus when it says market price?
Yeah, generally that refers to higher end foods that fluctuate radically in price, such as seafoods, crustaceans such as lobsters and crab, etc. Those will be market priced because there is such a radical variation in their pricing. However, you'll notice that most food products in the United States do fluctuate seasonally. However, the annual fluctuation will equate to about equal to the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, which averages right around 3% per year is what you'll see the actual fluctuation. So, anybody else have questions? No? Let's move on to the next subject here. And then we're going to take a look at some more slides, and I think Chef Gregory is going to come up with some great information after that. We need to talk a little bit about the contribution margin. Ashley, did you have a question?
Yeah, it was just about, are y'all going to go over some of the examples that we got in the review tonight?
Do you mean for the quiz?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Because there was just one I was stuck on, and it was the same problem, and it wasn't the FC or it wasn't a food cost, because that's basically was divided in 30%. I think I was fine, but with one I got confused on. I would have to go back into the review, and that's why I was just wondering if y'all were going to go over it. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. I promise I will, and then you just let me know when we get to that one if you need like just more explanation or more any information on it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good question. Let's talk about contribution margins here real quick. We just discussed basically what it is. And this is a quick review of that. It's basically the difference between the food cost and the sale price, right? If you want to break it down to this very basic nature, what you are contributing to pay your additional expenses. So you've sold your hamburger for $10. You have you paid $3 for the hamburger. You sold it for $10. So you have $7 left over. That $7 is your contribution to the margin. That is what goes to cover your fixed expenses and some of your variable expenses as well, such as labor and that good stuff. Does that sum it up pretty good, Chef Gregory?
Yes, sir. It does. Yeah, absolutely. Great example.
I don't know how much more simple to make it. Other than that,
it's very straightforward. Yes, sir.
yeah. Did you want to talk about the cost and margins now on the slides? Or
As far as the quiz goes, sir?
Let me see. I can bring this up here real quick.
Okay.
I confused myself again. Yeah.
That's okay.
That's natural. And when this comes up, if this is the slides, I'm going to pop it over to you that we talked about earlier. Can everybody see this up here? So someone mentioned at the beginning of the class, I think it was Timothy, you know, how important it is just to extract the information from the question. Sometimes you're going to have to read the question a couple of times to completely understand exactly what is being asked. So make sure that you really focus on that when you're going through that. And then when we cost things out in the restaurant industry, we always shoot for an ideal target percentage, which will depend on your facility. Like I said, hotels can be 28%. So we shoot for that ideal, but we also take a look at that number at 30%, 26%, 32% to kind of give us a different perspective, because not everything is exactly the same each time. And then, so to divide the food cost by the food cost percent, so you have your plate cost, you've accumulated that like we just did on the other slide. You know that your burger costs $3. Your target market, or your target food cost is 30%. So you're going to divide by 30%, and that will give you your estimated sale price. There's always been that long argument in the restaurant industry about whether you charge $10.95 or you charge $11 or you charge $11.05, and there is some psychology behind that, because $10.95 is a little bit less than $11, so it seems like a little bit more of a value. You're going to have to determine that for yourself. I like to round it up, so if we take the $3.06 like on the previous slide, and we do it divide it by 30%, that's going to give us $10.20. I prefer to round it up to 11, just to give me that little 80-cent buffer in there, just for waste and all that other kind of good stuff. So you got to think this whole thing through. The ingredients for your skillet brownie cost $3. You want your food cost to be 30% or lower. What is the lowest price you can charge, right? So you're going to take $3 and you're going to divide it by 30%, and that will give you, that is the math, that is the equation that you do. It's the food cost divided by percentage, and that will tell you $10, right? Quite simple. Cost of the food divided by your target food cost equals your estimated sale price. Okay, dividing by 30 will not do the same, right? Does everybody understand that?
Can I share my screen, Jeff? I'll show them why.
Let me get off real quick. Go for it.
All right, everybody. When we are, sorry about my background, when we're talking about dividing, so the cost of the brownie was $3, and we were dividing that by our 0.30 to get 10. It's really important that we're dividing, and I'll show you why. So a lot of people would be like, why wouldn't you just multiply it by 3? And this is why you would not. So if you had the same $3 it cost for your brownie, and you just times by 3, 3 times 3 is 9. However, when we divided by 30%, we got 10. You would lose $1 every time you sold a brownie skillet if you just times it by 3.
Can you do it one more time, please?
Sure, I'm going to switch the numbers. Is that okay?
All right.
Okay. Our brownie skillet cost us $5. If I divide by 30%, so it would be $16.67. However, if I took the same $5 it cost me for my brownie and I just times it by 3 because I thought it was easier, it'd be $15. I would lose $1.67 every time I sold a brownie skillet.
And if you're selling 1,000 brownies a month, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
A sleight of hand does a lot of damage in the long run. So going back to our slides here, what is your food cost percentage? Divide total food cost by total sales. And this is kind of a very basic formula to figure that out. So, your food cost was X amount of dollars. You'll divide that by your total sales as a dollar figure. So you have to look. I know on this week's quiz, they have a lot of information that is a lot of questions that are very similar to this in nature. You read the question, understand what they're asking, and then extract the numbers. So here, what is your food cost percentage? So you're going to work with your food cost and your sales, because you need the food cost dollars divided by the food cost dollar sales. Does that make sense? And then if your food cost is $5,541 and your sales are $35,064, then you can develop your formula, which is to simply divide your food cost by your food sales or your total sales, and that comes out to 16%, right? Because we're going to round up the 8, and if it's 15.8, then we round up to 16. Does that make sense to everyone? Then round, since the 8 is higher than 5, 3 places after the decimal, you get 0.16 or 16%. Turn the decimal into a percent, move the decimal 2 places to the right. I always think righty-tighty. Righty-tighty. So if you move it 2 decimals to the right, you're going to be perfectly fine. Here's another good example of what the quiz this week looks like. What is your labor cost percentage? And it's going to be a very similar formula to figuring out the food cost percentage. Remember, we took the food cost dollars and we divided it by the food cost sales. And that gave us our food cost. It's the same thing with the labor cost. So you're going to extract the 2 numbers that you need from here. One would be the labor cost, and the other one would be your sales. So that's the first thing you have to do to solve the formula. And then your labor cost and sales, you've established what those numbers are. And then you're going to do the math. You're going to divide you're going to take your labor cost divided by your total sales, and that will give you your labor cost, right? And that number is 0.38. Since the 5 is, since the 3 is lower than 5, you're going to round that down to 0.38 or 38%. Any questions so far?
Yeah, there is a little error on that slide. I didn't catch it earlier. I apologize. It would be 38% for that one.
Correct. Yeah. Did I miss anything on that slide, Chef Gregory?
No, sir.
We all good? All right. And then what is the sum of your cost? Sum always refers to, it's a Greek term, and it means the total of. And so that's what they're asking for. So if whenever you hear or see the word sum, it's just the total of the proposed numbers. So you're going to add up all of your cost. Total cost, food cost plus labor cost plus other cost. Right? Your food cost is $5,000, your labor cost $13,000, other costs are $4,000, your sales are $35,000. And then what numbers do you need? Right? Sales are not a cost. They are revenue, so you don't need that number, but you need all of the other numbers. Right? So you're going to add your cost. The sum of those 3 numbers is 23,000. Sum is a result of adding 2 or more numbers. And then now we're going to cover the contribution margin real quick. Subtract food cost from the menu price. Just like we talked about, if you sell it for 10 and your hamburger cost you $3 to make, the contribution is going to be $7. 2 ingredients for your braised ribs cost $11.32. You sell it for $19, right? Which is going to be right around a 55% food cost, I believe, a little bit higher. What is your contribution margin?
$7.68.
How much?
$7.68, or is it $8.68?
I'm going to go with your first. I'm going to go with your first one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your sale price and then subtract your cost on the plate, and then you're going to come up with $7.68. That number right there would be your contribution margin, and that is what goes to offset all of your other expenses other than food. Okay. Does everybody get that? And do we have any questions about that? Okay. That's kind of that's kind of a basic shell. And next week we dive more into that to get a little bit deeper into some of the food costs and how we carry that out exactly. Chef Gregory?
Yes, sir.
What were you going to discuss?
I was going to show the formulas, sir.
Let's do it.
And talk about the helpful hints sheet. All right, let me just make sure I am set, and we will go. All right. Okay. So I am going to send everybody a helpful hint sheet tomorrow morning. I do have it here. I'm going to show you guys that after. We're going to do it a little bit in reverse, because you'll see on this week that the math is very, very important because the subject matter. The helpful hint sheet is really every single thing about all of those numbers. So this will be the quiz questions, and then I'll show you guys the helpful hint sheet after, and I will send it out tomorrow. All right. So this is one type of question that you'll see. So the ingredients of your pad thai cost $3.50. You want your food cost for this item to be 30% or lower. We're going to use 30. What is the lowest price you can charge round to the nearest cent? So can somebody please tell me what the cost for my pad thai is?
$3.50.
Perfect. Thank you for doing so. Okay. Now we're going to divide that for our cost percentage. So what is our food cost goal?
30% or lower?
30%. 30%, yep. We're going to use the 30. Okay. So we took our costs. We're dividing by our 30% as a decimal. So we have 3.50 divided by the 0.30%. And we have, this is our answer. So could anybody please tell me what I would enter in for my quiz question?
11.67.
Yes, exactly.
Good job.
Thank
So
you.
if I was doing this, I could do 0.30 or 30 with the percentage sign, but I can't do it by 3, right?
No, sir.
If I just multiply it by 3, I'm going to come short. So.
Yep, and for everybody, I did check. It should accept the dollar sign. However, you can just put, this would be your answer for that. You guys will notice that I believe it starts this week. It's definitely in week 4 and definitely in week 5. You guys will see multiple choice answers. So you'll have choice of 4, in which case you would click on the $11.67 option for you. All right, let's go to the next one. The ingredients for your brownie skillet cost you $4.50. You want your food cost for this item to be 30%. What is the lowest price you can charge? So can somebody please tell me my costs?
$4.50.
All right, thank you. Okay, we are going to divide. Can somebody please tell me my cost percentage?
15.
30.
30, exactly. Yep, it's what we're looking for here. What do we want our food cost to be? We want it to be 30%. 30 equals. So for this, we have our 4.50. We're dividing by our 0.30%. Oh, if you said 15 for the answer, I'm sorry, you were right. I thought you were talking about percent. 15. Is everybody good on that one so far?
Yes.
Okay. Cool, cool. All right. So We are, when Chef was talking about food costs, we're going to go on to that one. All right. So it's asking us this right here. What is your food cost percentage? That's what it's asking us. So what would my food cost number be on this page?
21,387.
Perfect. Can you tell everybody how you got that answer?
The cost of the food.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Because we read through this and it says your food cost, and we're looking for food cost percentage. Thank you. Exactly. 21387. And we're going to divide. Can somebody please tell me what my sales were?
46,555.
5. Exactly. Thank you. All right. So 21387 divided by 46555. 46555 equals. Here's my number. What would I type in for my answer?
46%.
Exactly. Exactly. So we do have to round. Thank you for doing so. We do have to round for the 46, and then we're talking about a percent, right? So if you have that, we round it up, so we had 46. If we move that decimal 2 places, that equals 46%.
Okay.
All right. So this one, again, it's asking us, what is your food cost percentage? So can somebody please tell me what my food cost is for this?
7,742.
42. Thank you. Can somebody please tell me what my sales are?
6,000.
Go ahead.
No, anybody, please.
63054.
63054, right? So we're just looking at this. All of these numbers currently, they're all very, very important to our business, but it's asking us what is our food cost percentage. So we're looking at this one, and we are looking at this one. So we have 7742 divide 63054. Okay, can somebody please tell me what my food cost is?
12%.
Exactly. So we had, from the calculator, it said 0.12. We're moving our decimal place 2 spots, and we have 12%. All right. Was everybody good on the food cost portion of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So now we are going to do labor costs. We look first what it's asking us. What is your labor cost percentage? So can somebody please tell me my labor costs?
9,962.
9962. Are we going to multiply or divide?
Right.
Yep. We are going to divide. Can somebody please tell me what my sales were?
28,992.
992. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to our calculator. 9962 divided by 48992. And we have this. Can somebody please tell me what I'm going to put for my answer? What is my labor cost percentage?
20.
20%.
20. Thank you, everybody. So we had on the calculator, it said 0.20. We moved our decimal place, and we have not $20, 20%.
20
All right.
bucks, yeah.
20%.
No, 20 bucks would be great.
I apologize. Yeah, right. The keyboard, you hit the shift, and then it's like whatever you get from there. All right. So labor cost again. What is your labor cost percentage? Can somebody please tell me what my labor cost is, labor cost is?
4,511.
12511. Are we gonna multiply or divide? Divide.
52,218.
Hello.
Yep, it's absolutely right. What, that 52,218, what was that?
You do me a favor.
Sales.
You get
Sales.
a little
That's
bank,
The bank?
yeah, deposit.
Sir, whoever, I can't
Franklin.
see,
Franklin.
I can't see the chat right now.
Yeah,
Could you
what is-
please mute yourself?
Hot Mike Franklin.
Is
All right, so, what was my sales?
$52,218.
218. One, two, three. 0.239, which would be 0.24.
So far. Is everybody okay on the labor and the food costs?
You might have
Yes.
to, okay.
Yes, everybody?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
because you got the 24 by rounding up, right?
Yep. So if we look at our calculator, when we did the math, it said 0.239. We know we have to round, so we did get 0.24, and then we're looking for a percentage. So this would be 0.24 would be 24 has a decimal. If we move this decimal spot, one spot, two spots, it's now 24%. All right, let's see. So I'm going to skip over the next labor one just so we make sure we can get through every question. All right, so this one. It's asking us, what is the sum of all of your costs? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to read through it. So our first line says your food cost. Next one says your labor cost. The third one says your other costs.
So we're adding those three, right?
Exactly, thank you. So we're looking what this is asking us, sum of all of your costs. So our sales currently, it's very important we know that. It's not important for this exact question. The sum of all of your costs. So we have 7,356 plus 12913 plus 3372 equals
23,641.
23,641.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you for telling me. Perfect. I appreciate you doing the math. All right, so we look at this again. So it asked us the sum of all of our costs. So we looked and we said, oh, we have food costs, labor costs, other costs. We added those three together, and we have the sum of all of our costs. All right, now we're going to talk about what Chef was talking about today, about contribution margins. So this reads, the ingredients for your braised short ribs cost $10.22. You sell it for $18. What is your contribution margin? So we look here to find our contribution margin. That's what we're looking for. We're going to take our menu price we're going to subtract out our costs, and that'll give us our contribution margin. So what is our price?
$7.78.
Okay, thank you. So how did you get to that? Tell me what you did, please.
I took the $10.22 and subtracted from $18.
Yes, but reverse that. You had the 18. You had your menu price first.
Okay.
Then you subtract, yep, your $10.22.
Yes. So that's how I got the $7.78.
Yes, it is. Exactly. Is everybody, I'm going to do another one. Is everybody okay on that so far?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to do another one. Your ingredients for your deluxe grilled cheese, which sounds amazing to have a grilled cheese right now, by the way, sandwich costs $2.34. You sell it for $7.99. What is your contribution margin? So can somebody please tell me my menu price?
$7.99.
Yep, $7.99. Our menu price. This is what it is. You sell it for $7.99. All right. We are going to subtract out our costs. Somebody tell me the cost.
$2.34.
2.34. So we had 7.99. We're going to subtract 2.34. We have $5. Yep. Yeah, go ahead. Please. Yep.
$5.65.
Thank you very much. $5.65. We're going to do one more contribution margin, and then I have to attend my other class, but Chef Warren can answer anything else that we covered from these slides. So I'm going to do this one for everybody. So we have our chocolate cake. 24.50 was my menu price. I subtracted 8.99 of my costs, and I got my contribution margin is $15.51. And before I go, this is the helpful hint sheet. This is exactly what we did on those. It'll break it down for you. This is just very, very descriptive. So I will send that to you guys in the morning. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. I apologize to leave early.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And like I said, I'll send out the helpful hint sheet. And just remember, this one is, like we talked in the beginning, and I'm glad we started with that. We were talking about reading the whole question. So if it's asking us what our food cost percentage is, all of those numbers, all those other things, they're very important to our business. However, we're looking for one specific line on that. We're looking for food costs. And then you do the math for your percent. All right, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You rock, Chef Gregory. All right, ladies and gents, does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? Just to review real quick, tonight we talked about what fixed expenses are in a restaurant, things that don't fluctuate on a monthly basis, internet, telephone, salaried labor, insurances, that type of thing. Variable expenses are things that do fluctuate on a monthly basis depending on the volume of business. Some utilities, labor, food would be a variable expense. And then we also talked about what net profit is. That's when everything comes, all expenses come out of your revenues, and what is left over is your net profit. It's very, very important to learn. Chef Gregory basically went through this week's quiz, which is absolutely fantastic. Make sure that you read the questions thoroughly to develop and understand what you need to ask, and then you will sail through it. No problem. Remember, you can take it as many times as you like, and only the highest score sticks. And make sure that you take the mid-course survey this week, which is located at the top of the class page. Any questions, anyone? Thoughts, concerns? Have a fantastic evening, ladies and gents. Take care.
You well, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.